Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Star Wars The Black Series Jabba the Hutt playset. If Saturday morning cartoons fueled your imagination as a kid and powers your action figure collecting now as an adult, then you're in the right place. Thanks for stopping by and welcome to Saturday Morning Toy Collector. And if you like my content, please consider subscribing. Alright, taking a closer look at the front or possibly the back of the box because they're the same. You can see lots of figures over here in the corner, which I have, and we're going to be adding. You see Jabba and everything he comes with here on the bottom of the box. And sorry, this thing is so cumbersome. It's a pretty big box in my review space. You have Jabba here on the side. We have a look at the whole set here on this side, and then on top we get some close-up shots of Jabba, Salacious, and his little leaning post, part of his dais, whatever it is. Here again is the front or the back of the box, so let's get it opened up and take a closer look at everything inside. I do want to kind of do some of this on camera in case you're interested in how exactly he comes packaged in the box. Sorry, I did have to do some of that off camera, but here we have this little piece right here is kind of loose, and let's see, this feels like his hookah and his bowl. So let's get this opened up and see what's inside. It is the hookah bowl, so that's really cool. Just some kind of basic paint on that thing. That may be something that I put a touch of paint on later on. And then in here should be the pipe, and yeah, the pipe and the tube. Let's see if we can snip some of these little. Yeah, they're really tied in there. So let's snip these free. Let's get Jabba out of the way here. Snip this little part free here, remove it, and then probably Salacious Crumb is in this tiny little box right here. So let's get all this stuff out of the way and get all these packages opened up. All right, let's put these two little pieces together here. They just got two little plugs that just pop in, and we're just going to click those in. Those look easy enough to pull apart if you ever want to take this thing back apart again. And this thing is sculpted very nicely. I like the color that it was cast in. No weathering, no dry brushing, no little silver paint touches. You know, this is a premium product. It does come at a premium cost, and that's something that they could have thrown just a little bit of silver paint on. I can't imagine it would have taken too much extra money to do that. This thing is sculpted very nicely. It does need a little bit of extra paint on it, but I do like the green-filled goo on the inside, and it does look like there's something in there. Yeah, there's a couple of frogs sculpted into that plastic goo, so it's not just paint, it's actually sculpted in there, which is really nice. Now let's see what we do here. I think we just take this tube and plug it in right here on the top. It's kind of a tight fit, but that kind of pops on. Hopefully it'll stay there. No, it keeps wanting to pop off. But that'll loosen up over time. And then we have his pipe on the other end, and it's already fallen off, and it just kind of goes on like that. All right, let's take a closer look at Salacious Crumb. He is sculpted and painted very nicely. He is articulated. I believe that we've gotten this articulated Salacious Crumb before in like a Creatures multi-pack or something. I never got that pack, so I've never had, I don't have an earlier one to compare it to. So I'm glad to finally have an articulated Salacious Crumb and not just, you know, a solid piece that just kind of sits there. His arms are on hinges and ball joints at the shoulder. He can go out and go all the way around. There's no hinge at the elbow or wrists at all. So yeah, his arms are nicely articulated. The head is on a hinge and a swivel, so you can rotate it around and up and down. The legs are on a hinge and swivel as well, but they are articulated at the knee with a hinge and a swivel there as well, but no foot articulation. But, you know, it's not bad. The tail is also on a hinge and a swivel, and that can move around. That'll probably help with the posing when he's seated or whatever. But man, that's really, really nice. And then we have a closer look at Jabba here. He's looking pretty good. I love the paint job here, just all around. The sculpt is great. The paint is great. Some legal stuff there. Don't put this in your mouth. Try to eat it, swallow it. There's some nice dry brushing around the back on his tail, which is really cool. Didn't have to do that because you're not going to see it. But look at that dry brushing on the top part of the head. Man, it's looking really, really nice. I'm loving this guy. I love his eyes. They could use a shot of like varnish or something, but otherwise, I think they look really good. I love that both arms work the mouth articulation. So either arm, it's on like a click joint, and so you can move the arms around freely, but also it'll click into place and help move that mouth up and down, which is really nice. It has a nice ratchet in there as well. But either arm, as you can see, will sort of move each arm and the mouthpiece up and down. As far as the articulation goes, he does have a swivel at the shoulder. He has a hinge and a swivel at the elbow. You're not going to even get 90 on that. You can't go all the way around, or maybe you can, but I'm just not going to risk it on mine. The hands are on hinges and swivels. You can see how far out you can stretch his right arm. It does have a hinge and a swivel at the elbow as well, and then a hinge and swivel at the wrist. But my right wrist is really, really, really tight. He's just, these arms are very nicely articulated. Of course, you can see the tongue in there and the saliva around the mouth. He is articulated, I guess, at what would be either his neck or waist. I'm not sure, but of course, if you rotate it around any further than that front, then it's going to mess up the paint. But otherwise, he's painted nicely, he's sculpted nicely, and he looks pretty fantastic. Now, ever since I knew this set was coming, I knew I needed to have a dais, so I bought some parts online, and then I made this myself. This is just made out of a couple of pieces of just really like crappy styrofoam. I put some screws in. I hot glued these screws in so that it would sit up off of the ground just a little bit. I did buy these 6 gargoyle heads off of eBay. I think they were like $15 shipped, and then I painted them myself. I need to put some rings in their mouth, but I just haven't. This was actually 2 pieces of styrofoam that I hot glued together, and then I just added a layer of like regular spackle, just spackle you would get at any store to like fix holes in your walls, and I just applied it sloppily. It's very sturdy. I let it dry, and then I did several washes. I don't really need it to look perfect. Of course, this thing was nasty and dirty and crunchy in the actual world, so I don't need it to be perfect. It works for me. Now, I just hope it's the right size. All right, so his this upper part of the dais fits perfectly, so I'm really hoping that, now seeing Jabba in hand, I hope he fits on here nicely. And he just barely fits. This was perfect. I didn't really have much to go on other than just kind of eyeballing it and, looking at some dimensions online. I'm pretty happy with it. Now, let's see if we can get his hand holding this hookah pipe without too much trouble. There we have it. Had to do that off camera because that did give me a little bit of trouble to get that in there just right. Let's see if we can get Salacious Crumb in here in a nice, natural looking seated pose. I do need to put some like pillows and like trays of food and like maybe some wraps or pieces of cloth. I may get some scraps of cloth from a store and then kind of add those to it. But let's bring in some other Star Wars Black Series figures that sort of round out this set a little bit. We're going to put his favorite trophy back there with Han Solo. We are going to put the C-3PO in there for his translator. So we need that. We need his Major Domo, of course, Bib Fortuna. We got to get him in there. And then let's see here. Who's next? Gotta have a Gamorrean guard in there, standing guard. I need a couple more of these guys, but I just have the one. I had a couple of Dinzians hanging out in the background. Boba Fett, kind of biding his time before he sits on this throne. And then got to get my favorite character in there. Got to get Lando in his skiff guard disguise. And then, of course, Jabba needs an audience. So let's go ahead and bring in our Luke Skywalker and an R2-D2 so he can have an audience with Jabba himself. So this is the big Black Series Jabba the Hutt set. I've been waiting for this thing to come out for a while, and this set just looks super impressive. It is really, really impressive. For this price, I probably would have enjoyed it if it had been maybe $20, $25 more and they included the bottom part of the dais. I think that would have been a better way to do it. As it was, I think this set was already $90. I would have been okay with it being like 125 or 120, 115, whatever, for them to include the bottom part of the dais, because, you know, Jabba needs his throne and not just parts of it. But that's my only complaint. The rest of the set looks incredible. It looks great. And now this is going to be a centerpiece of my Black Series Return of the Jedi shelf. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and watching. I super appreciate it. Please continue to check us out over at Instagram at Saturday Morning Toy Collector. I am the Saturday Morning Toy Collector. I'm your host, Mark, and I will see you in the toy aisles.